Okay, today we are in Judges chapter 6, verse 5. And just as a quick recap towards the end here of last week's lesson, just since we're picking up mid-start here, this is the usual, and Israel did what was evil on the side of the Lord. And, basically, the Midians are coming in, and they're like locusts is the way they're phrasing it, and just taking all of their crops. So they're waiting until the crops are ready to be harvested, and then they're coming in and just taking over and taking all they have. So picking up in verse 5. For they would come up with their livestock and their tents. They would come in like locusts for number. Both they and their camels were innumerable. And they came into the land to devastate it. So Israel was brought very low because of Midian. And the sons of Israel cried to the Lord. Now it came about when the sons of Israel cried to the Lord on account of Midian that the Lord sent a prophet to the sons of Israel. And he said to them, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, It was I who brought you out of Egypt, brought you out from the house of slavery. I delivered you from the hands of the Egyptians and from the hands of all your oppressors, and dispossessed them before you, and gave you their land. And I said to you, I am the Lord your God. You shall not fear the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But you have not obeyed me. Because again, they're out there, once again, God is a jealous God, right? The one thing he seems to dislike more than anything else is worshiping false gods. And that's what Israel's been has been doing again. Which this seems to be a continual cycle, and you see that throughout Judges. Then the angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak that was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress in order to save it from the Midianites. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, The Lord is with you, O valiant warrior. Then Gideon said to him, O my Lord, if the Lord is with us, then why is all this happening to us? And where are all his miracles which our fathers told us about? Saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. Well, he's not paying attention to the words here. What did the angel of the Lord say to him? He said, The Lord is with you, O valiant warrior. But Gideon's response is, if the Lord is with us. He didn't say the Lord is with us. He said the Lord is with you. Which, I don't know about you all, but that'd be kind of a concerning thing, because if the Lord is with you in this time and in the Old Testament, usually that's kind of like, I'm about to use you. I'm all for being used by the Lord, but some of the things He has us do can be scary at times. So, and I think that's how this is going to play out. But again, that's why you kind of pay attention to what God says to us. The Lord looked at him and said, Go in this your strength and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. Have I not sent you? He said to him, O Lord, how shall I deliver Israel? Behold, my family is the least in Manasseh, and I am the youngest of my father's household. But the Lord said to him, Surely I will be with you, and you shall defeat Midian as one man. So Gideon said to him, If now I have found favor in your sight, then show me a sign that it is you who speak with me. That is almost a fair thing, because the devil can be tricky, right? So you got to know who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, right? And I can understand that, because this instance, I don't see this as questioning, are you God? It's more of, I just want to make sure I know who you are. Who am I working with here? Who am I dealing with? And so I can kind of understand his concern there. Please do not depart from here until I come back to you and bring out my offering and lay it before you. And he said, I will remain until you return. Then Gideon went in and prepared a young goat and unleavened bread from an ephah of flour. He put the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot and brought them out to him under the oak and presented them. I'm sorry, I'm going back to being my realist self here going, now how long did that take? How long did you just keep this guy, this angel of the Lord waiting? But, so be it. I mean, unleavened bread, you're still cooking it, even if you're not waiting for it to rise. And the angel of God said to him, take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put out the end of his staff that was in his hand and touched the meat with the unleavened bread. And fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread. Then the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. I don't know about you all, but I think I'd be believing who I was working with at that point. I mean, you get to see a miracle like that. I think at that point, I'm going to have the faith. Yep, I'm working with the Lord. I'm good here. What do you want me to do? I just think that'd be an amazing experience. When Gideon saw that he was the angel of the Lord, he said, alas, O Lord God, for now I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. The Lord said to him, peace to you, do not fear, you shall not die. Then Gideon built an altar there to the Lord and named it, the Lord is Peace. To this day it still stands in Ophrah of the Abiezrite. Yeah, whatever it is. Now on the same night the Lord said to him, take your father's bull and a second bull 7 years old, and pull down the altar of Baal, which belongs to your father, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it. And build an altar to the Lord your God on the top of this stronghold in an orderly manner. And take a second bull and offer burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah, which you shall cut down. Then Gideon took men of his servants, and did as the Lord had spoken to him. And because he was too afraid of his father's household and the men of the city to do it by day, he did it by night. So he still obeyed the angel of the Lord, obeyed God, but he also didn't want to be dumb about it, because he knew they were worshiping a false god. They're worshiping Baal, and they've got the Asherah pole there too, so they're worshiping two false gods, really. And so he decided, I'm going to do what I'm told, but I'm going to do it at night when everybody else is sleeping, so hopefully nobody sees what I did. So he's trying to protect himself and not come straight out and do it, which I can get to a degree, but when God tells you to do something, it seems like you ought to be able to do it in the full light of day, right? But I get it. I can see being concerned still about man trying to kill you for this. When the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was torn down, and the Asherah which was beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered on the altar which had been built. They said to one another, who did this thing? And when they searched about and inquired, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, did this thing. Then the men of the city said to Joash, bring out your son, that he may die. For he has torn down the altar of Baal, and indeed he has cut down the Asherah which was beside it. But Joash said to all who stood against him, will you contend for Baal, or will you deliver him? Whoever will plead for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, then let him contend for himself, because someone has torn down his altar. In other words, if Baal is not a false god, if he's a real god, then let him worry about taking out his frustrations on the person that cut down his Asherah pole and took his altar down. So, I mean, if you look at it, God takes care of things when stuff is done to his stuff. I mean, when his people misbehave, he deals with it. Frequently, personally. And that's basically what Joash is saying here. He's like, I'm going to protect my son. Let me tell you, the way this is going to work is not what you think. If Baal is such a powerful god, fine. Let him go out there and go after my son. which also shows that he cares about his son. Why? Because he's standing up to all the men of the town. No, you're not going to take my son and kill him. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work that way. But he uses logic with him. Well, if Baal's so strong, let him take care of it. And that's precisely what they agreed to do. Therefore, on that day, he named him Jerubbaal, that is to say, let Baal contend against him, because he has torn down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the sons of the east assembled themselves, and they crossed over and camped in the valley of Jezreel. So the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and the Abiezrites were called together to follow him. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, and they also were called together to follow him. And he sent messengers to Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. Now, this next part, I got to admit, I think he's pushing it. I don't think this is a good example of how we're supposed to act as Christians or as followers of Yahweh. Well, let me know what you think. Then Gideon said to God, if you will deliver Israel through me, as you have spoken, which says, as you've spoken, so he already knows, he's told you this. Why are you questioning? Behold, I will put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece only, and it is dry on all the ground, then I will know that you will deliver Israel through me, and you have spoken. And it was so. When he arose early the next morning and squeezed the fleece, he drained the dew from the fleece, a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, do not let your anger burn against me, that I may speak once more. Please let me make a test once more with the fleece. Let it now be dry on the fleece, and let there be dew all on the ground. God did so that night, for it was dry only on the fleece, and the dew was all on the ground. I mean, doesn't it seem like he's really pushing it with God here? I mean, he saw an angel of the Lord show up. He saw the angel of the Lord extend his rod, and all the offering, everything catches on fire and burns up on a rock, just because it was touched with a rod, a staff, if you prefer. So, how much more do you need? And then he's like, okay, we all know how dew works, right? I mean, if you left a sheet or something out, man, there's going to be dew on the grass, dew on the sheet, whatever. He's like, well, I'm going to put this wool down. Now, you only let the dew be on the wool. It doesn't work that way, right? So that should be a really good sign. If God's going to, humor you, great. If it's only on that and the ground's dry, great. Okay, cool. You should have your answer, right? You ask for a miracle, and he goes out in the morning, miracle, there you go. That's not enough for him. You got to test him a third time. And I say test again because he basically tested the angel, right, with bringing the offering out. I mean, he accepted it, but it's just this time, flip it around. Okay, let's make the fleece dry and the ground wet. I mean, are we supposed to challenge God like that? Now, don't get me wrong. I know, for me, it's always easier to do personal experiences, I think, explaining things sometimes. But when I wanted to start my own business, I was afraid that I was starting it because I wanted to, which is true. I did want to. But I felt God was leading me to, but I was really scared about it. Because it was, when I started a business, the economy was in the toilet. And here I'm wanting to go out on my own. And I don't know if I'm going to get any clients anyway, but I'm wanting to do this. So I prayed about it and said, okay, if this is really what you want me to do, just give me a sign. And give me a sign, show me my company's doing something they ought not be doing, and I need to leave anyway. And that I'll believe you that. And within 2 weeks, got my sign. Company I was working for decided to quit paying the IRS. You know what? This sounds like a good time to exit this company, okay? I need the doors there, and I'm ready to use it. So I understand when we question God, but I was doing it for in my instance anyway, for the fact that I wanted to make sure I was following God, not me. Because I'll admit, I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know if that was a good time to be doing that. Here, I think he just continually challenges God. Says, okay, is this really you? Is this really you? One more time, God. But hey, thankfully he answered. Then Jerubbaal is Gideon, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and camped beside the spring of Harod. And the camp of Midian was on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. The Lord said to Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to give Midian into their hands. For Israel will become boastful, saying, my own power has delivered me. Now, it does sound a lot like Israel, doesn't it? Now, therefore, come, proclaim in the hearing of the people, saying, whoever is afraid and trembling, let him return and depart from Mount Gilead. So 22,000 people returned, but 10,000 remained. Okay, so I'm looking at these numbers. The first thing I'm thinking is, how in the world did Gideon, the youngest son of the lowest family, right? Those were his own words, get 32,000 people to go with him, to follow him? What if those 32,000 people have been as questioning as he was of God, of Yahweh? I'm just impressed he got that many people to follow him. I know if I went up and said, okay, everybody, follow me, we're going to go defeat the enemy, people would look at me and say, good luck, see ya. I know how that'd work out. But thankfully, they followed him, in a large number, obviously. Then the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. Therefore it shall be that he of whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, he shall go with you. But everyone of whom I say to you, this one shall not go with you, he shall not go. So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, you shall separate everyone who laps the water with his tongue like a dog laps, as well as everyone who kneels to drink. Now, the number of those who lapped, putting their hands to their mouth, was 300 men. But all of the rest of the people kneeled to drink water. Okay, what's the significance of this? Okay, if you kneel and you're going down and putting your mouth in the stream, can you see what's going on around you? Can you see behind you, to the sides of you? But if you go down and cup your hands and get water out of the creek and you give up and drink like this, you can look around and see what's going on. Yahweh was trying to separate it out so the people that were paying attention were the ones that were going to go with him. That was the intent. It wasn't just a random, oh, this is a good way to separate people. That had nothing to do with just separating. It had to do with who's paying attention. Who's willing to check what's going on around them. Who's aware of their surroundings. I don't know about you, but sometimes I've gone and walked around somewhere and not known that somebody was 10 feet away from me in the woods. Why? Because I was just out enjoying my walk, and my neighbor did this to me one time. He was ex-military, special forces kind of guy, and I was out walking. I only had like 11 acres. He had around 100, and he was good with letting me go out and hike and all that on his property, just walk around. I'm just walking along, and all of a sudden, hey, like, I think I'm out in the woods by myself. Here's a guy in a ghillie suit next to me out walking around on his land. Why is he out? I don't know. He liked to do that sometimes. A friend of mine was a little odd some days, but he was a good guy. So yeah, it's a matter of paying attention. I was just out for a nice walk. I wasn't looking to see what was around me. I wasn't paying attention and focused on my surroundings. I was just out enjoying looking at wildlife, I thought. So God's trying to get the people that are paying attention. And that's my point of that. Now, the number of those who lapped, putting their hands to their mouth, was 300 men, but all the rest of the people kneeled to drink water. The Lord said to Gideon, I will deliver you with the 300 men who lapped, and will give the Midianites into your hands. So let all the other people go, each back to his home. So the 300 men took the people's provisions and their trumpets into their hands. And Gideon sent all of the other men to Israel, each to his tent, but retained the 300 men. And the camp of Midian was below him in the valley. Now, the same night as it came about, the Lord said to him, "Arise, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hands. But if you are afraid to go down, go with Parah, your servant, down to the camp, and you will hear what they say. And afterwards your hands will be strengthened, that you may go down against the camp." So he went with Parah, his servant, down to the outposts of the army that was in the camp. See, this time God's like, okay, I know where this is going to go. So before I have to give you another sign, I'm just going to tell you, just take your servant with you and go. God knows us. He knows what's in our heart. He knows when we're afraid of something. He plans ahead. We don't have to do it. He knew what was going to happen. So he told him, go down. I'm going to set your mind at ease and go ahead and let you know how this is going to turn out. Now, the Midianites and the Amalekites and the sons of the east were lying in the valley, as numerous as locusts, and their camels were without number, as numerous as the sands on the seashore. It's a lot of camels. When Gideon came, behold, a man was relating a dream to his friend, and he said, "Behold, I had a dream. A loaf of barley bread was tumbling into the camp of Midian, and it came to the tent and struck it so that it fell, and turned it upside down so that the tent lay flat." All right, some slight side note here, because they're specifically saying, they're not saying, loaf of bread, loaf of barley bread, right? Okay, how is that possibly relevant? Well, it's obviously relevant because the Bible tells us what kind it is. But here's the thing. You have wheat or you have barley bread. Wheat was much better than barley bread, okay? And so the point is, barley bread was not the good. It was like half price of wheat bread. So the importance here is that what has Gideon told you about himself? Lowly, right? Youngest in his family, least in among his tribe. So he's the barley bread, basically. He's not the best thing that's out there. But we have God with you, as we've said, who can stand against you? So his friend replied, "This is nothing less than the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has given Midian and all the camp into his hand." When Gideon heard the account of the dream and its interpretation, he bowed in worship. He returned to the camp of Israel and said, "Arise, for the Lord has given the camp of Midian into your hands." He divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put trumpets and empty pitchers into the hands of all of them, with torches inside the pitchers. He said to them, "Look at me and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outskirts of the camp, do as I do. When I and all who are with me blow the trumpet, then you shall blow the trumpets all around the camp and say, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" So Gideon and the 100 men who were with him came to the outskirts of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, when they were just posting the watch. And they blew the trumpets and smashed their pitchers that were in their hands. Okay, does anybody know what the middle watch is? So you kind of understand what time we're talking about? Okay, the middle of the watch is typically about the time, they divide the night watch into 3 terms. First watch is like, okay, it's time for everybody to, start slowing down, go to your tents, that kind of thing. The middle watch is about the time everybody should already be asleep, right? Nobody should really be awake then. That's the middle watch, except for whoever's on duty, obviously. So basically, they're waiting till everybody's sound asleep. You're getting into your good dream sleep. You all know what I'm talking about. You're finally getting that good rest. And then what happens? All these trumpets blow. Now, normally, do you think everybody is carrying a trumpet? In an army, in an attack? Yeah, exactly. So normally, you have 3 or 4. Usually they're used to signal when to, attack or something like this. So you're used to having there might be 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. But in this case, you got 300 of them. So when they hear that many trumpets, first thing they're thinking is, oh, good grief, there got to be 1 million people out there coming for us. They're just doing the normal math of the day, what would happen. So they're expecting something significant. Huge number.
I think I probably could have heard that.
Just maybe. Just maybe. So yeah, I think that really messed them up, because they're assuming, because again, it's dark out. You got the stars, maybe the moon's out, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what day this was. But that's part of what was scaring them. Then you have all these pitchers are being smashed. Talk about the noise. Just, oh, what the heck? Disrupt everybody. And you're woken out of a nice sound sleep with trumpets and with all kinds of things breaking. You think, the world's ending, man. They're about to kill us all. When the 3 companies blew the trumpets and broke the pitchers, they held the torches in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands for blowing, and cried, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Each stood in his place around the camp, and all the army crying out as they fled. All the army ran. When they blew 300 trumpets, the Lord set the sword of one against another, even throughout the whole army. And the army fled as far as Bethsheba, towards Zerah, as far as the edge of Abel Meholah by Tabbath. So, notice some of them, they're killing each other. They're just freaked out. They're, oh, good, I'm up. Okay, so, oh, there's somebody moving. They're not paying attention to, is this guy on my side or your side? We're used to today, or back several hundred years at this point, we're expecting military to all wear the same thing, right? That's not how things worked back then. That was a lot of money. They didn't have that kind of money. Back then it was just, what do you have on you? That's what you're going to wear. And so they're just getting up, they're freaking out, they're hearing all this noise. Oh, somebody's coming towards me, just kill them. Worry about it later. So they were in part killing themselves, because Yahweh had confused them, scared the heck out of them. The men of Israel were summoned from Naphtali and Asher and all Manasseh, and they pursued Midian. Gideon sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against Midian and take the waters before them, as far as Beth Barah and the Jordan." So all the men of Ephraim were summoned, and they took the waters as far as Beth Barah and the Jordan. They captured the 2 leaders of Midian, Oreb and Zeb, and they killed Oreb on the rock of Oreb, and they killed Zeb on the winepress of Zeb, while they pursued Midian, and they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon from across the Jordan. First off, I don't think I want any wine from that wine press. I'm just saying. I think that wine press is done for me now. I don't understand the taking of trophies like this, but according to my notes, they take heads as trophies, hands as trophies, foreskin as trophies. What kind of trophy do you want? I don't get it. But this is what they did. I'm just trying to give you the way things work. Very weird. But that's how they worked war at that time. Then the men of Ephraim said to him, "What is this thing you have done to us, not calling us when you went to fight against Midian?" And they contended with him vigorously. But he said to them, "What have I done now in comparison with you? Is not the gleaming of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer?" God had given the leaders of Midian, Oreb and Zeb, into your hands, and what was I able to do in comparison with you? Then their anger towards him subsided when he said that. So basically he's saying, look, I didn't come get you, because to me this was a little confusing when I first read it, but basically saying, look, You were my backup. They ran towards you. I needed you right where you were. I didn't call you to come fight because I needed you where you were. When they all ran, they ran towards you. You look, I just had them running towards you. You're the one that got out here and killed the two-head bad guys of Midian. You're the one that's the hero here. And then they're like, yeah, I am the hero here. That's right. Yeah, we killed them. People take things different ways. And I think as soon as it was put in perspective, oh, you're the hero, not me. Yeah, you're right, I am. All of a sudden they were happy. Then Gideon and the 300 men who were with him came to the Jordan and crossed over, weary yet pursuing. He said to the men of Succoth, please give loaves of bread to the people who are following me, for they are weary, and I am pursuing Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian. The leaders of Succoth said, are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hands, that we should give bread to your army? Gideon said, all right, when the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hands, then I will thrash your bodies with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars. He went up from there to Penuel and spoke similarly to them, and the men of Penuel answered just as the men of Succoth had answered. So he also said to the men of Penuel, saying, when I return safely, I will tear down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, and their armies with them about 15,000 men, all who were the left of the entire army of the sons of the east, for the fallen were 120,000 swordsmen. Gideon went up by the way of those who lived in the tents of the east of Nobah and Jogbehah, and attacked the camp when the camp was unsuspecting. When Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued them and captured the two kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and routed the whole army. Then Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from the battle of the ascent of Heres, and he captured a youth from Succoth and questioned him. And the youth wrote down for him the princes of Succoth and its elders, 77 men. He came to the men of Succoth and said, behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, concerning whom you taunted me, saying, are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hands, that we should give bread to your men who are weary? He took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and he disciplined the men of Succoth with them. He tore down their tower of Penuel and killed the men of the city. Then he said to Zebah and Zalmunna, what kind of men were they whom you killed at Tabor? And they said, they were like you, each one resembling the son of a king. He said, they were my brothers and the sons of my mother. As the Lord lives, if only you had let them live, I would not kill you. So we're all into getting justice, right? I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. They're all focused on, oh no, I'm going to get vengeance, basically. Forget the vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I'm coming back for you. He warned them. He told them, look, either you can help me, give my men some food, or I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take briars. I mean, every one of us has been, walking around and gotten briars caught on us, right? Scratched up your arm, scratched up your leg. Just think if somebody used those against you. All right, strip you down, throw you into the briar patch, and drag you through it. How is that going to feel? So when he's saying that he used them against them, that's what he's talking about. That's kind of, and I'm doing that from a thing of the day. If you do reading about ways they would use that, that's one way they would do it. Pretty rough if you ask me, but gets the point across. I'm thinking now, they're probably thinking, I really should have given him that bread. So he said to Jether, his firstborn, rise, kill them. But the youth did not draw his sword, for he was afraid because he was still a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, rise up yourselves and fall on us. For as the man, so is his strength. So Gideon arose and killed Zebah and Zalmunna, and took the crescent ornaments which were on their camels' necks. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, Rule over us, both you and your son, also your son's son, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian. But Gideon said to them, I will not rule over you, nor shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you. Well, Gideon got it right, didn't he? It wasn't about him. See, all the people were ready to give him the glory that's God's. Because God's the one that set all this up, not Gideon. Gideon was just following orders. And obviously, Gideon wasn't so keen on following the orders in the first place. He kept challenging God. Is it really you? No, really. Is it really you? Really? Is it you? Yet Gideon said to them, I would request of you that each of you give me an earring from this spoil, or from his spoil. For they had gold earrings because they were Ishmaelites. They said, we will surely give them. So they spread out a garment, and every one of them threw an earring there from his spoil. The weight of the gold earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the crescent ornaments and the pendants and the purple robes which were on the kings of Midian, and besides the neck bands that were on their camels' necks. Gideon made it into an ephod and placed it in his city, Ophrah, and all Israel played the harlot with it there, so that it became a snare to Gideon and his household. So it didn't turn out too well for him. He still did something he shouldn't have in the end. But nonetheless, he set them up for peace. So Midian was subdued before the sons of Israel, and they did not lift up their heads anymore. And the land was undisturbed for 40 years in the days of Gideon. Then Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and lived in his own house. Now Gideon had 70 sons who were his direct descendants, for he had many wives. His concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son, and he named him Abimelech. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died at a ripe old age and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah of the Abiezerites. When it came about, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the sons of Israel again played the harlot with the Baals and made Baal Bereth their god. Thus the sons of Israel did not remember the Lord their God, who had delivered them from the hands of all their enemies on every side, nor did they show kindness to the household of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, in accordance with all the good that he had done to Israel. 40 years of peace. All it seems to take every time, if you notice, one generation, maybe two, they all forget everything. How? How do they constantly forget and turn away from God so quickly after they see all that he's done for them and say, yeah, I mean, everything's good and all, but I've seen this Baal thing and an Asherah pole over here. I'm thinking, maybe that's the way to go. You've got peace. You've got God protecting you. That's not enough for you? I understand we all make mistakes, but they seem to make them as a nation. They all turn away. I don't quite get it. I don't know why they do that. But also, I don't know what Gideon was thinking. That many wives? Isn't one enough? I don't want to have two, let alone however many he had, and a concubine to go along with it. You had enough women. What more did you need, dude? Really? I don't understand it. I mean, I know it happened a lot, and that was the times, and that's what people did, but...
It's hard to believe. Solomon had more wisdom than anybody. And just look how many wives and concubines he had.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how wise he really was. I mean, the man... Yeah, well, I mean... I don't know. The man must have liked torture or something is all I can figure out. To have that many wives, you're not thinking about something. I don't know. I've never understood that. I guess maybe because at that time, you didn't have to get along with your wife. Your wife just had to do what you said. Today, things are a little different. I think at the time, they were just like, no, woman, you're going to go over here and do this. And it's, that's not the way we do things today. And that's part of why I think we have those feelings about it,
One of my friends had a son, and he was a nuclear physicist, just one of the smartest people.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him to Russia and everywhere. And his mother said, yeah, he's very intelligent about that. He said, he don't have a clue about a woman. And that was true. He got divorced, went over to Russia, met a woman, 2 weeks later brought her back with him as his wife. That didn't work out too good either.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are smart in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And that's the caveat. Because I've met a lot of people that are really smart, but they're really smart here, that tunnel vision, They know one or two things. That's it. And everything else, they're not there.
Common sense, you can't learn it.
Well, common sense isn't too common. I don't know why we call it that, because it hasn't been common in my lifetime. And the people I've known, the things I see going on in this world, make no sense.
Yeah.
But that's where we are in this world. We have what should be common isn't. It's really unfortunate, but that's where we are these days. And so hopefully, and if we can get this country to turn a little bit, just even a little bit back towards God, I think it'd be fantastic. And I think some of that's there's some degree of revival in this country, and I hope it increases and we use the momentum and are able to grow the Christian faith in this country. I think we desperately need it, and I'm thoroughly hopeful for that. But yeah, today is still a lot of weird things. We got unfortunately, have a lot of people that are going against our faith. I mean, looks like we're about to have, depending, we'll see in a year, but, have New York with a socialist running it. So we're going to have our version of London. We've got a Muslim running a huge city in our nation. It's scary to me as a Christian. I have serious concerns about not just our country, but our ability to keep following Christ. If you have Muslims running things, then you think they're going to allow us to have Christian churches? No. If you look at what happens in majority Muslim nations, and again, this is biblical. We know how the Muslims handle things. It's not in the Bible because Muslims weren't here in the Bible. And so it's a little different there. But if you look at Muslim majority countries, that's where a lot of Christians are getting slaughtered in this world. And I think it's a terrible thing. But I think it's relevant to us as Christians to know that that's happening out there. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to stop here. So we will pick up chapter 9, verse 1 next week. And let's go ahead and close in prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to study your word. And we ask that you'll guide us and protect us this week and bring us back together safely next week. These things we pray in Christ's name. Amen.